Now, did you know that there are people who cannot love? People who cannot sustain a relationship no matter what happens. When they enter into a relationship today, not long, it's broken. And sometimes they will make a vow not to try it again. But before they know it, the cycle continues. And as often as this happens, they tend to blame their partner or some external forces or bad luck that they can never find somebody who is good for them. Now, there are many ways we can look at this experience, but today I want to look at this experience from the profound impact on unresolved trauma on anybody who has this terrible experience. Unresolved trauma is a real experience that can shape how we connect or struggle to connect with the people around us. And when we talk about trauma, people often think of trauma as a dramatic event that had left a lasting imprint on the psyche of someone. But trauma isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it is a quiet moment of neglect or betrayal or abuse or aggression that resonate through the people's life long after these had happened. And sometimes they start from childhood. And these experiences tend to create emotional wounds that beneath the person's life, they stay and influence their interaction and their capacity to love. Now, it is like trying to build a house on a broken or a fragile foundation. And no matter how beautiful you make that house look, it will always be compromised by the fragile foundation upon which it is built. In the same way, if we have unresolved trauma, it interferes with our ability to love authentically or trust wholeheartedly or even to engage openly with people because the inner person is simply fragile. Moreover, unresolved trauma make people to erect wall around themselves. They always will feel that something is about to go wrong and their partner is not trustworthy enough. And if they give in, it will lead to pain. Hence, they approach every relationship with caution and ready to quit at any given time. And let's be clear, there cannot be any genuine relationship when it derives from self-pity or out of pity for the other partner. Now, it is when the threats of unresolved trauma slip into people's interaction, their perception of reality, their relationship, and even themselves, the perception they have about themselves become distorted. And when this happens, they easily feel or they lack esteem in themselves. And I'm sure all of us know that sustained relationship is hard work, which needs a lot of reflection and adjustment. And a lot of people who are unable to love are actually wrestling with inner battles. When love feels scary, it's not an absence of affection. Rather, it's likely an overabundance of fear and trauma. It's like one part of you is yearning to connect, while another part of you is desperately seeking protection. And unfortunately, this is a painful dichotomy that many people endure silently and they don't know and they can't name it. But here is what is important. Number one, understanding the impact of unresolved trauma is a first step towards healing. I have heard people talk about breaking ancestral curse. Now, did you know that unresolved trauma can be an ancestral curse? And that healing would begin when you can identify a past trauma that probably needs healing. I know acknowledging past experiences isn't easy, but if you can do it, it's essential. The decision to revisit a trauma requires a tremendous courage because facing those shadows and choosing to dismantle the barriers that we have built around our fragile self can be frightening, and it will require courage and faith. Now, secondly, we need to understand that healing does not happen immediately. Rather, it's a journey that takes us forward and backward, and sometimes revealing layers of events that we may not have been aware that they even existed within us. Therefore, talking through our experiences can lead to a deeper understanding of the operation of the trauma and effectively introduce us to healthy patterns in our relationship. Now, let me ask this question. How much do you care for yourself emotionally? Notice that our emotional health has a relationship with our physical and spiritual health. And when these three can go together, then we talk of integral health. In the long run, healing our unresolved trauma would transform us not just in how we view ourselves, but in how we engage with others. And it will help us to shift our focus from fear to self-mastery. When our trauma is resolved, we will be able to engage in a way that doesn't mirror the pains of the past, but will create the space for growth, safety, and mutual respect. That is the foundation of a better and sustainable relationship that is not just about surviving, but about thriving and ultimately embracing the love we all deserve.